Hello, everyone. This is Bill, and today I'll be talking about Enchantra, who is the mistress of the mystic arts. She is the magic person, if you will, of the Super Gals. Um, she has an interesting origin as far as her creation process, because she was, I believe, the first one that Dale created. He named her, he came up with her being magical, and he gave me a written description of what he had in mind for her visual appearance. So I just acted as art robot with her. And he wanted her to be dressed in black, and he wanted her to be a redhead. And that was because he had done some studying of the old like myths and legends of magic characters. You know, everyone from Merlin the magician from their Arthurian legends to going back to the Greek myths and everything. And I guess one commonality among like magic users in all these stories is more often than not they're described as having red hair. And I like redheads myself, so I was like, sure, no problem, make her a redhead. I gave her green eyes because I know from comic books at least that the vast majority of redheaded characters have green eyes. I mean, it's just kind of an automatic, you know. Whether you have like Marvel Girl from the X-Men, redhead, green eyes. Mary Jane Watson from Spider-Man, redhead, green eyes. Batgirl, redhead, green eyes. And also just magic characters in general tend to have green eyes. Loki, you know, he's got green eyes. And usually characters who aren't necessarily magical, but they just have kind of like a carefree or I don't know, impish personality, like Rogue from the X-Men. She has green eyes. I have green eyes, but it is the rarest eye color around. But so I figured I give her green eyes, go with the red hair, and the fact that she's magical. And he wanted her dressed in black. He wanted her to have a cape, and I'm the one who gave her the two-tone cape. I made the inside of her cape red, so that way you'd actually be able to see her body. Because otherwise, I figured, if her cape was black on the inside and she's wearing black, like you really wouldn't see anything. She would just kind of disappear into her cape. And, God forbid she was standing around anything else that was black or even darker colors, like she herself would just kind of vanish. So he ended up thinking that was a great idea. He loved it. And thankfully, he loved her appearance that I came up with in general. I was just drawing what he said. And but I did give her that opera mask because I figured that would give her a more unique silhouette compared to the others. None of them had, an elaborate mask like that. And so he liked that too. And we're pretty much off to the races from there with her. She gets her magic from like nature, like earth based. That was something else that he came up with in his research of magical characters. Like they get their powers, they draw it from the earth. And so I had asked him, like, well, if they were out in space, like on an adventure, would Enchantra be able to use her magic? And he just told me to shut up, not worry about it. So, space is a part of nature, but it also is a vacuum, as there's nothing there. So, I don't know. That's still something that I ask myself now, and I think eventually I'm going to have to address that because the nerd in me wants to know, and right now the nerd in me doesn't know that. So I'm very interested in figuring out like would her powers work in space. So people either get their powers like through the earth or by using objects that are magical. They've had like magical qualities, imbued into them or whatever. And I gave her the armbands and the gold clasp that she wears on her cape because I figured those were magical items. So if she needed those as sort of like an emergency backup or something, she would have those. And Dale liked that. He didn't think it was a bad idea, so they stayed. and she does have an enemy, a nemesis, if you will. Her name is Depravia the Witch, and she is like the polar opposite of Enchantra, as all good Nemesi. I don't know what you call them, more than one nemesis, but anyway, like a good nemesis would be the opposite of your protagonist, and she uses objects. Like, she has a silver wand, so Depravia would use that to be her powers, and she's actually more powerful than Enchantra is, but she is short-tempered and she uses shortcuts to get her magic, which doesn't make her stable. Whereas Enchantra is very level-headed and she's got things together, and it's almost like Jedi and the Sith, those two. And at least that's the way I like to look at it, because again, I'm the sci-fi guy, whereas Dale was the well, he was sci-fi too, but but he was the one doing the research into the old mythological magic characters. I wasn't. I was the Marvel guy. He was the DC guy. DC has always been more open to using magical characters, whereas Marvel had not been. So, we had our similarities in the stuff that we liked, but we also had our differences in the stuff that we liked. Enchantra serves as the deputy field leader of the Super Gals. Cyberella, she's the one who put the team together. And she's the one who hands them all their marching orders. I guess if you want to think of it in terms of, like, let's say Star Trek, you would have Captain Picard as the captain of the ship, and he'd be giving everyone their orders, overseeing everything. That's like Cyberella. And then it was Commander Riker who would take the away team down to a planet and be doing stuff. So I guess Commander Riker would be like Enchantra, or maybe the other way around. But so she's the one who's out in the field. She's the one that everybody looks to make the snap decisions. She's the one who's giving the orders, and she's not featured heavily in book one, Left Far Behind. What can I tell you without being spoilerific here? There's something going on the other side of the planet that requires the attention of the Super Gals. So Enchantra takes two of the more experienced members with her and a couple of the newbies, and they go to deal with it. And everything's fine until the main plot actually happens, and then everybody else left has to deal with it. So by her not being there, it's noticeable to them, because they're used to looking to her like, what do we do? Now she's not there. And she's going to feature much more heavily in book two onwards. But I wanted to take her out of the equation on this first book to kind of show how reliant everyone is upon her, how they're used to her being there, and the effect that has on everyone. I don't want to say much more than that because I don't want to give anything away, because I think the ending is a surprise ending, and I don't want to spoil that for anyone. But let's just say that she is important to the team, and whether she's there or not, her presence is always, or lack of presence, is always known. And she will have a lot to do moving forward. So if you are someone who likes her, that's great, because you'll be seeing her a lot more. And I guess if you don't like her, you're still going to be seeing her a lot more. One of the reasons I didn't want her involved in book one is because of the space issue I had mentioned. And I'm still kind of, I know this will sound kind of weird maybe, but I'm still kind of figuring out her powers, mainly in how to pose her when she's using them. Because magic characters, they're very, what I call, pointy. They're always like pointing at stuff, and then like, the magic effects are there and lasers and everything else. They're not like hand-to-hand fighters, kind of thing. So, I wanted to give myself a little bit more time just as I kind of hammer down some of those types of visuals with her, because I would like her to be more unique than just another standard magic person. So we'll see how successful I am with that. Wish me luck in that regards. And I guess that's really all I can say about her right now. Again, just because I don't want to give too much away, and she's not heavily involved in book one. But there you have it. There's her background origin, if you will. I think, if memory serves, she was the third one who rolled off the assembly line. She was the first one that made me nervous because, like I said, I was never a big magic guy, and so I was trying to figure out like how to make her magical but still look like a superhero. I didn't want her to be like not belonging visually. So we'll see how good I did, I guess. But anyway, before I forget, please stop by Indiegogo. You can look up the Super Gals Left Far Behind graphic novel. That is crowdfunding right now. And also, I have a store online, All American Comics /BigCartel.com. I have some prints and comic books there, old comics of mine there. And the links for both will be in the description below. And until next time, you all have a good day.